Hey guys, welcome back to the show. I am your host, Megan Hardy, and founder of Fitness Uncharted, which is a women's health and fitness coaching company designed to help women lose body fat, build lean muscle, improve their metabolism, and feel empowered on their health and fitness journey. And today we're going to be talking about some dieting red flags, okay? And what to look for when you are picking a coach or a trainer or thinking about doing some kind of training program or nutrition plan or looking for freaking meal plans online or whatever it is. Okay. So I want to address some dieting red flags and then what to look for. And I personally spent years restricting my calories, over exercising, and really just being absolutely frustrated. Next thing I know, I am facing more body fat. Even though I am over exercising, restricting food, I'm like not achieving the toned look that I want. I'm just like fighting for my life to maintain my weight. Not to mention like holding on to stubborn body fat, burnt out, like super burnt out. And even worse, like I have a terrible relationship with food. So if you haven't heard my previous episodes, go back and listen to my origin story from episode 1. I won't get into all of it, but I had my own issues with my body composition, my relationship with food, and it's still a journey. It's a process. But you know what, like the most frustrating part was about that? You know, I thought working out and eating less was the answer. Like that's what diet culture told me anyway, right? Like you've probably heard that too if you are on any kind of fitness journey, which I would dare say most of us are. If we're not, we probably should be all on a fitness journey, right? And diet culture says eat less, move more as the answer. And I was doing that, but my body fat did not agree with that. It did not agree with that advice. So I know I am not the only one. I work with clients myself. I talk to a lot of women, a lot of my friends, family, everyone. Like I know I'm not the only one here. And, just go Google skinny fat or Google stubborn body fat and see what comes up. Like it's insane. It's really a shame how many women are struggling with the same thing and how diet culture has actually only exacerbated the issue. It's not helping women. Like most of what you find on Google is not going to help you to get sustainable long-term results. It's getting you the like quickest fix possible. And then it keeps you coming back for more because you get that dopamine rush that you just had some quick results, even if they're not sustainable or don't last or you gain the weight back. Oftentimes people are going back to the same old diets that actually didn't work because they're like, well, it quote unquote worked, but it's like, no, it didn't. If you gain the weight back and you can't maintain it and it's an unsustainable lifestyle, I would say that doesn't work. And from my experience, it didn't work for me in the past. And diet culture really just exacerbates that issue. But the good news is when you eat and train the right way for your body, getting lean and toned is really not nearly as time consuming or overwhelming or restrictive as most people actually think it is. And the trick here, the caveat is what I just said, which is you have to do things the right way. You have to do the right things for your body. Your body, you guys. Cookie cutter, templated programs are just not going to cut it. It's not. Like we're all so different. And so this is where I get super frustrated when people are like, oh, my friend did XYZ diet. It worked for them. Why is it not working for me? And I'm like, you're a totally different person. Like your dieting history, your background, your lifestyle, your psychology, your body itself. Like we're all so different. So what's going to work for one person may not work for the next person. So what I first want to do is I'm going to address some dieting red flags here for us. Okay. So I'm going to kind of roll through them. I have a lot. I just kind of have a list written down here and I'll elaborate some, but there's so many that I was like, this podcast could probably take an hour worth of dieting red flags, but I'm just going to like touch on some of the biggest ones that I see. Okay. Dieting red flag number 1, cutting out entire food groups. Okay. Let's think like fats or carbs, right? Like how many diets that are like, oh, like, fats were bad. Now carbs are bad. Like this can actually lead to nutritional deficiencies and also an unhealthy relationship with food when you're demonizing certain food groups or cutting them out completely. And I mean, just as one example, as far as nutritional deficiencies, a lot of my low carb people or no, hardly any carb people really struggle to get their fiber intake in. And then they're not having daily bowel movements. They're not pooping daily, which is super unhealthy. And they're having other issues, or they're doing really high fat. And now they have like high triglycerides and cholesterol and things like that. It's like, it can actually lead to other problems when you're cutting out entire food groups. So that's dieting red flag number one. Number two is labeling food as good versus bad. This one's an interesting one because I think culture today has kind of taken this to an extreme where it's like, no foods are bad. And I'm like, I agree with that too, in the sense of, I like to think of it as eat more, eat some, eat less. There are foods that you should eat more of, very like nutrient dense whole foods. Eat some of these foods, maybe things like a protein bar or something like that, right? Like it has some nutrient benefit, but it's also got a little processing, right? Like eat some and then like eat less of like, our super greasy pizza and like, really high sugar, processed sugar things, right? So eat more, eat some, eat less. But when you're labeling food as good and bad, this is where I often see some women, especially, but kind of getting into that orthorexia tendency of like, they actually have a fear of unhealthy food because now they're creating so much extra stress on their body because they're like, oh my gosh, I can't have any seed oils. I can't have any like of the hydrogenated oils. I can't have, oh my gosh, this is not organic, natural, whatever. And it's like, you're actually creating more stress. Yes, we want to have, 80 to 90% whole foods, but there is a balance with that. And labeling food as good versus bad, good versus evil is not going to help out your mindset or relationship with food. And it's actually just going to create more stress. So that's another dieting red flag, ones that label things as good or bad and, black or white. Another one is extreme calorie restriction. So this would be like, especially like less than 1,200 calories, you guys. Like this can actually be harmful and you're going to lack essential nutrients. Like that's just not enough food to even get the nutrients that are essential for your body. And just to give you a little context, like the recommendation or recommended daily allowance of calories for a 4-year-old child, okay, is like 1,200 to 1,400 calories. Let that sink in for a second. You are a grown ass adult, right? Excuse my language. You are a grown woman, a grown human, right? A 4-year-old could eat like 1,200 to 1,400 calories. Okay. So that's not enough food for you. So like the blanket statement, and I'm sad to say it, but even a lot of like practitioners and whatnot will say like, oh, just go eat 1,200 calories. That's terrible advice, especially if you have no idea what is that woman's activity level like? What is her metabolism like? Like one person eating 1,200 calories who needs to lose weight may be a totally different story than another person who burns way more eating 1,200 calories to lose weight. You don't need to eat a 1,200 calorie diet. So watch out for diets that have extreme caloric restrictions. Also, if they have rapid weight loss claims, that's a biggie. The quicker you lose it, you guys, the quicker you gain it back. You might get that instant gratification, that dopamine hit that you're, seeing quick results, but typically it's not going to be sustainable because either one, the damage you're doing to your metabolism, you're not going to be able to maintain the results, or two, what you did to lose the weight is not sustainable. It's probably because you were eating super, super, super low calorie, or because you were over exercising. And as soon as you stop doing those two things, you're going to gain the weight back. So like watch out for rapid weight loss claims, or even if it's something like that seems like kind of out there, like a magic pill type of situation, it's not doing anything magical other than probably getting you to eat extremely low calorie or over exercising. So watch out for those rapid weight loss claims. And also an overemphasis on supplements, or a promotion of quote unquote magic foods or ingredients, fuelings, Octavia, diet pills, it's like these things that they're just these magical, like, oh, you don't have to do anything to lose weight. Here you go. And like, that's what marketing knows, that's what we want to hear, because as humans, we're always looking for the easiest route. And so they know how to speak to that. You're like, oh my gosh, like this thing. And then of course they're going to post all these testimonials and whatnot of like how easy it was for Susie to lose this weight. It's like, watch out for those magic foods or magic ingredients. There really aren't any. It really comes down to what you can do consistently and the healthy habits that you're going to build in that you can stick with long term. And really all of these things, like I said, they're totally scams. Like they're scams to get you to keep buying their products. Like there is nothing magical about those foods. And actually they're normally packed with a lot of processed crap. Like I know with the quote unquote fuelings from, some of these diet programs and like the packaged, protein bars or snacks and things like that they want you to buy, they're actually not great options. They're like very processed. And it's like, they want you to come back. They're like, "Ooh, this is going to get you to XYZ result. Eat this." And it's like, no, you could really just eat some lean chicken breast and, a piece of fruit and actually be better off than buying these things. So it really is like very scammy and can be a big scam and marketing ploy. Another red flag is lack of physical activity. Diets that promote you to lose weight without exercising, or diets that tell you that you actually can't exercise, like they advise you not to exercise because calories are so low. That is not healthy. Not healthy. Again, like Optavia, I've talked to so many women where they're like, "Oh yeah, it was really weird. Like they told me I couldn't exercise because, my body wouldn't be able to handle it. And I might get lightheaded because I was only eating 800 or 900 calories." Guys, that is not healthy. Like massive red flags should be going off in your head. If you don't have some kind of medical condition like this is where the only caveat I would say is someone who like medically, cannot move or cannot get out of bed or something like that. Like, yes, exercise may not be an option for you. If that's not you, anything that says that you could lose weight or, lose a crazy amount of weight or get a certain body shape or physique without exercising, or actually advises you not to do that, massive red flags. Like that alarm bell in your head should be sounding, because that is not healthy. Or along with that, also a lot of programs that overemphasize cardio to lose weight. Like, yes, you will manually burn a lot of calories and lose some weight, but that's not sustainable, because the thing about cardio is the more cardio that you do, the more cardio you actually have to keep doing just to maintain. So like you're manually burning calories, right? So like the more you do, you've got to keep doing it. And then you never get to stop. Like if you're like, okay, I want to lose this weight, so I'm going to run 5 days a week, or 10 miles, 5 miles a day, 5 days a week, whatever. You got to keep doing that. Like, and if you're not a runner, I know I'm not going to be doing that for the long term. It might sound like a good idea in the moment to get some weight off, but like, I don't want to keep that up every day. And so the other thing that's going to happen too is your body actually adapts to the cardio, and it actually starts to burn less calories with the same amount of cardio. So at first you might lose a lot of weight because you're running all the time, right? Or you're doing like a ton of high intensity classes or high intensity cardio, right? You keep doing that same volume, that same amount of exercise, and all of a sudden you've hit a plateau and you're not burning it anymore or losing anymore. And you can't figure out why, because you haven't changed anything up. Well, that's why your body has now actually adapted. And what used to burn more calories for you with the cardio, now your body has actually gotten more efficient at it, and it doesn't burn as much because it's so used to that, amount of cardio. And that's the last thing we want, is for our bodies to get efficient at our exercise, because then we burn less calories. So watch out for plans or programs or anything that like overemphasize cardio. Cardio is not bad. I'm a strength training girl myself, because that's what actually works for getting body fat off and putting on lean muscle and building tone, and not to mention your overall health and hormone health. But I have nothing against cardio. I just think you should use cardio for cardiovascular health, aka heart health. That's what it was intended for, is your heart health. It is not the best option for fat loss. It's not the best option. Like even when you do lose weight with cardio, half of that could be muscle mass. If you're just overemphasizing cardio, especially if you're not eating enough food or enough protein or strength training, you are probably losing a lot of muscle mass along with that. So I'll leave that there. Another red flag would be focusing on appearance over health. I know we all start programs because we want to look better in a bikini, or we want to, feel better naked. Like we want to have better intimacy with our spouse or partner and like not feel like we have to do it with the lights off or like whatever that deep thing is. Like a lot of it, it's not even superficial if you want to improve your aesthetics. Like I truly believe that's so important. But programs that overemphasize appearance goals and results over health is not a good thing either. And diets that prioritize quick aesthetic changes, like i.e., rapid weight loss or like achieving a specific body shape, prioritizing that over your long-term health are usually unsustainable, and they actually can lead to really unhealthy behaviors. And not to mention an obsession with your appearance or an obsession with the scale. It doesn't end up being a great place mentally. And then also it tends to be unsustainable because the things that you're doing to get those quick physical results, you're not probably going to be able to maintain those behaviors long term. So really look at your long-term health and avoid programs or plans that are only focused on the appearance and getting you like a quick physical result. That's probably not going to last, right? Another red flag would be no room for flexibility. This is the case. This is very much diet culture. And I think anytime someone joins a diet plan or program, they're like, they immediately think restriction or like, what are they going to have to give up? Yes, are going to be things that you have to maybe change or adjust, but there should be nothing that you like feel like you can't have. Again, you're a grown adult. Like you get to make your choices, and you also need room for flexibility. Like diets that are too rigid and don't allow for any flexibility or enjoyment, we should be able to enjoy eating our food. We should be able to enjoy being with our loved ones. Like if they don't allow any flexibility or enjoyment in eating, that can actually contribute to feelings of deprivation. So that's where a lot of times, people are feeling deprived or restricted. And then it also increases the likelihood of later binge eating. Like this was definitely the case for me when I was trying to be super rigid and restrictive, trying to restrict my calories, over exercising. I was not leaving any room for flexibility. And then guess what would happen every night because I was so rigid every day? The binge eating. Like I was a closet binger, and it would just like exacerbate that because I was trying to be so rigid. So diets that leave no room for flexibility, massive red flag right there. Another one, and this is the last one I'll touch on today, because I think I just rattled off a good list for us to get us started. But another red flag would be no individualization. Just say that word 3 times fast. No individualization. Like one size fits all diets that don't take into account, a person's needs. Everyone's unique, right? Everyone has unique needs. Everyone has preferences. Everyone has their own individual psychology, what works well or what isn't going to work well for them. They have different health conditions. They have different dieting history. They have different lifestyles. Like if you're looking for something, or if you join a plan that's a one size fits all, quote unquote, solution, it's less likely to be effective or sustainable for you. And then you're just going to end up super frustrated that it didn't work for you, when in reality, it wasn't programmed or planned to work for you. It was just this cookie cutter approach. So that's where I find a lot of people, especially when we're kind of trying to find either the quick fix or just like the budget friendly thing. It's like, oh, let me just get a templated meal plan. I'm like, who says that's how many calories you should eat? Who said that food actually works for you and your lifestyle and your family? Who says that's actually going to get you the results that you can actually maintain long term? So you really need to look for that individualization. And so instead, with all those red flags that I just mentioned, instead, what I recommend and what we personally do with our clients who join the Fit You program, we look for a program or plan or coach that takes into account your unique history and lifestyle, your goals, your past dieting history, your preferences, and then creates a program that's actually tailored to you and your start point. Because that's the other thing too, is where you're starting out is going to be totally different than the next person. Like I would never give someone who's starting out, or like has a really long dieting history, the same type of program or protocol as someone who is maybe this is their first time dieting or trying to improve their physical appearance or whatever. Or say someone who is, a mom of 4 versus someone who's a single college student. Again, totally different people, totally different lifestyles, totally different hormones, all of it. So like you have to find something that can be tailored to you and your starting place, because that's how you're going to be the most successful and get the least frustrated. And then another thing to look for in a program is one that cares about your long-term health. You may not get results as quickly, you guys, as fad diets, right? But you will actually be able to keep it off. And studies show that 80 to 90% of people who lose weight will regain the weight plus more within 5 years. Like that's a very sobering statistic. So just think of like how many quick fixes or things that you're looking for that instant gratification, and you lose the weight, you feel gratified, you get the dopamine rush, but you are probably one of those people in the statistic of regaining the weight or losing that physical result within 5 years. More likely than not, you're in that statistic. If you're not, kudos to you, girlfriend. Congrats. You made it to that 10% who has actually kept it off. But a lot of us have not been able to achieve that. And so this is where, look for the thing that has your long-term health in mind. It is going to require a mindset shift from instant gratification to looking at the trajectory of where could I be a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, and how can I just try to get 1% better every day, and think of it as a trajectory of your long-term health versus focusing on the immediate result that you could get tomorrow. And this is why we actually, in phase 1 of our program, it's called Metabolism Repair. And we are focused on restoring your body back to homeostasis, which is really just, it's rebalancing. That's like a fancy word for saying, like, let's get your body back to its set point, to its happy place where hormones are good. We're going to rebalance your hormones and metabolism to basically counteract all of the past years of failed diets, all the past years of extreme restriction or calorie deficits that have basically wreaked havoc on your body. And in this phase, the primary goal is not necessarily fat loss. A lot of people actually do see some pretty epic body composition changes as they're working to heal and repair their metabolism. But the goal is to get you feeling better. Like you should have better energy. You should have better mood, better sleep, better sex drive. Like this is where you guys so I've had clients who come off of antidepressants and medications, like with the, advice or insight from their doctors, but they come off these medications because their metabolism is actually healthy again and they don't need them any longer. And also in this phase, this is all about where you can build more lean muscle mass too, because the more muscle mass you have on the frame, it's going to help out your fat loss goals, your body composition goals. It's going to make you look more toned and lean. It's going to help out your hormones. So this is why we want, in phase 1, we want to focus on repairing the metabolism. And then in phase 2, that's our fat loss and muscle makeover phase. Shout out the muscle makeover, right? Hence the name. And this is where, you are cooling off that outer layer of body fat and starting to reveal more of that beautiful, hard-earned muscle. And in this phase, this is where you're going to start to see more of that body recomposition happening. You're going to see more of those like nice rounded shoulder caps, them boulder shoulders. You're going to see those toned arms, like get more of that hourglass shape, that cinched waist, the perky booty, that quad definition and quad sweep, those strong legs and toned legs. Like this is where you'll really see more of that body recomposition happening. But that also leads me to my next points, which is what you want to look for in a program, right? Like you want to look for a program or plan that takes you through phases. Okay. You can't be dieting forever. Like that's a huge problem I see. It's like women always just want to be in a dieting or a fat loss phase. You can't be dieting forever. That's why you keep hitting plateaus. And that's why you're not seeing the changes in your body that you want to see. You have to take your body in and out of fat loss phases so that your metabolism doesn't downregulate and you can maintain a high metabolism. Because the problem is people who stay in a chronic calorie deficit, they end up burning out, they end up plateauing and or regaining the weight because you weren't meant to stay in a calorie deficit. Oftentimes I hear women say like, oh, I think my hormones are messed up. I think I need to get hormone testing. And then we start talking about their diet and nutrition. And they're like, yeah, I'm eating like, I think probably 1,000 to 1,200 calories. And I'm like, homie, you don't need to go get testing. I can tell you right now, your hormones are imbalanced because you're not eating at maintenance. You're not eating. Your body is stressed the heck out. And your hormones are jacked up because you're not eating appropriately for your body. And that's where, again, they burn out, they plateau, they regain the weight. So think of it like sports. I'm going to give you like a sports analogy, and I'm not a sports person myself, much to my husband's dismay. But I like sports for like the food and the beer, but otherwise not a huge sports person. But think of it like the seasons of sports, right? You have like in season or preseason or postseason, and it's like sports seasons for your body composition and for your fitness goals. Sometimes you're going to be in season where you're actively dieting. That's like in season. You're actively in a fat loss phase or a diet. Sometimes you'll be in pre-season, which maybe consider that more like where you're prepping your body for a dieting phase. You're getting ready physically and mentally, like you're doing the things you need to do to set yourself up for success for a diet coming up. Or other times you're going to be post-season. And that's where you're actually restoring your hormone balance and metabolism. And so like think you're eating at maintenance calories, you're focused on refueling your body and maintaining any prior results that you got from your last in-season, fat loss phase. So, if you lost weight or you got more lean muscle definition, this is a time where you could focus on maintaining that in a healthy way and rebalancing your hormones and your gut health, your metabolism. Like that would be like a good postseason, right? And so you need to find a plan that actually takes you through those seasons. Like your body just cannot be chronically dieting all the time. Also, you want to look for a program that is not restrictive and even during a fat loss phase. So this is something with anyone that I talk to, as far as signing up for coaching, we always talk about this phase and being like, hey, even when you're in a fat loss phase, you should be able to enjoy life and some of your favorite foods and things like that. Like, unless you're getting ready to compete in a bodybuilding show, shout out to Coach Christy, one of our coaches who competes in bodybuilding shows. Like, there's a certain level of dedication that you have to have if you're doing something like that, where, you're going to have to be more rigid. But if you're not doing something like that, if that's not a goal for you, then homie, you do not, there is no reason you need to cut out every cookie, or you can't, get an ice cream cone with your kids. Like even during a fat loss phase, even when you are in that active in season, fat loss phase, it's just not necessary. And it doesn't actually build a healthy mindset or a relationship to food, especially if you're a part of any of our programs. We're putting you in and out of fat loss phases. So like throughout that time, we're not going to tell you, hey, you can't have a piece of pizza or you can't have an ice cream cone with your kids. Like you should be able to do those things in moderation and still actually achieve your fitness goals. You shouldn't feel like you have to eat, chicken and rice every meal. Like, unless if you are someone who likes bland food, you like eating the same things all the time, cool. That makes it super easy for you. But you shouldn't feel like you have to eat a chicken and rice diet or, bring your own Tupperware to the party. Like those things just aren't necessary. So look for a program that actually helps you find balance between your fitness goals and social life. And also a program that cares about helping you build a healthy relationship with food. That's something that is so extremely important to me and with my clients in the Fit You program, especially because of my own background with food and not having that healthy relationship. A part of the goal should be food freedom. How can I reach my fitness and health goals while actually feeling like I have food freedom? I don't feel like I have this dieting mindset or like a restrictive, I can't have that type of mindset. How can we build a healthy relationship with food where we're not fearing food, or we're not stressing over food or thinking about it all the time? That's super, super important. And you can actually achieve that even while losing body fat or improving your physique. So like that really, I think ultimately should be the goal. And then in phase 3, that is our mastery phase. And this is where we want to take the training wheels off for our clients. Basically, we want to give them autonomy to do this on their own. So they're not relying on a coach or trainer the rest of their life. Like I always joke, I'm like, hey, if you want to pay me the rest of your life, sure. Or, all jokes aside, if you just want the accountability, I think that's awesome. Keep a coach around for life if you just love the accountability and you can pay for it, right? But we don't want you to feel like you don't know what you're doing, or you don't have that internal self-built accountability, or, that you have to be reliant on someone else to maintain or achieve your results. I will say personally for myself, I work with coaches in many different spaces. I have several different coaches for the accountability. I'm learning how to do things on my own, but I also appreciate the accountability. But we want clients to be self-sufficient. And, programs like Optavia or like keto, those are some that I'm just picking on right now because they come top of mind, but there's so many out there where you have to buy their quote unquote fuelings, which are basically just processed bars, or, the keto, quote unquote keto bars or keto, whatever, everything. If you stamp keto on it, people are buying it off the shelves because they think it's healthy, and it's not necessarily. All of those things are such a marketing ploy. And their goal, you guys, is not to make you healthy, but to have you buying more and more of their products. They make them to where they are enjoyable. They slap a label like keto or gluten-free or something on it. And then they're they fly off the shelves because people think they're quote unquote healthy. And then people are confused why they're still not getting the results they want. It's because there's nothing magical about these products. They're actually pretty processed most of the time, and they're marketing ploys. So, look for a program that actually teaches you how to eat for your goals, and then trains you how to intuitively eat the right way. If you missed one of the last episodes, I forget which episode it is now, but basically on learning how to intuitively eat and how to have your cake and eat it too. We have to retrain ourselves on intuitively eating. Programs that are yeah, you can intuitively eat and lose weight may not work for you if you're intuitively eating and having Burger King every day. You're yeah, I'm intuitively eating when I'm hungry. We have to retrain ourselves on intuitive eating, but you want to look for a program that teaches you how to do that and teaches you how to eat the right way for your body. And in my programs, we teach clients how to use macro tracking as a tool to help them reach their aesthetic goals. But in phase 3 of our program, we are actually weaning clients off of tracking or anything that feels like quote unquote dieting, because that way they can actually make this a long-term lifestyle where they don't feel like they have to diet or track every bite of food they eat for the rest of their life. Because for most people, that's not sustainable, right? Even if you're someone who has macro tracked before, or you've never done it, I will say that can just kind of become another diet itself too. If you get obsessive over tracking macros and you never feel like you can stop tracking macros and maintain your weight or body composition, it's kind of you're just long-term dieting in a way. If you love macro tracking and you're some of my type A clients or OCD clients who they really enjoy it. They're I would love to track my food every day the rest of my life. I'm cool, great for you. That's not me. But personally, I'm in a place where I'm in maintenance mode. I'm just maintaining my weight. I'm maintaining my body composition. I know how to eat for my goals, and I can eat intuitively for the most part and maintain. Sometimes I might use macro tracking as a tool just to kind of dial things in, but you should be able to learn how to eat intuitively on your own. Another thing to look for, and I think this is my last tip for now for something to look for, but look for a trainer or a program that actually prioritizes strength training and building muscle over excessive cardio. OMG, if someone had just told me this when I was first starting out, it would have saved me so much headache and so much time. I was such a cardio bunny, thinking that is what would get me more lean and more toned. And I just ended up more skinny fat. With cardio, you have to manually burn calories. So you're on there on the elliptical, going, you're manually burning, right? But when you stop the cardio, when you step off that treadmill or elliptical or whatever, you stop burning the calories. So the difference is with building muscle, your body is automatically going to burn more calories all day long, even at rest. Muscle is calorically expensive for your body to have on its frame. So the more muscle mass that you have, the more calories you're actually going to burn. And if you caught the episode that I did with Cam Brown, our interview with her, she made the joke that she was yeah, Megan and I sitting here right now talking together on this interview, Megan's crushing me at burning calories because Megan has more muscle mass. And I thought she meant because I was at my standing desk and I was standing up. She was like, no, because you have a ton of muscle. But that just goes, she was proving or mentioning the point that someone who has more muscle on their frame is actually going to just burn more calories naturally all day long, even at rest. So your muscle is super important, and it's going to help your fat loss efforts, and it's going to help your metabolism. It's actually an endocrine organ. Like, people don't think of it this way, but it actually helps with your hormone health. Like, it is so crucially important, not just for aesthetics, but for your overall health. And you will actually have a higher metabolism the more muscle that you have on your frame. So often people are just focused on, losing the weight first or losing body fat. And sometimes they may or may not even need to lose more body fat. They might actually just need to put more muscle mass on their frame. Especially for my ladies who, if you have that last 10 to 15 pounds to quote unquote to lose, I would encourage you focus more on building muscle, because one, you'll probably get the aesthetic look that you want. You may not actually need to lose more body fat. Two, if you do need to lose body fat, it'll actually help you in those efforts, because your metabolism will be higher. You'll be burning more. And then three, if you're trying to lower your body fat percentage, it will lower if you increase your lean muscle mass, because increasing your lean mass will cause your body fat percentage to be lower. So because your overall weight will be increased from more lean muscle mass. But the beautiful thing is lean muscle mass is more dense than body fat. So you're going to look leaner, you're going to look more tight, more toned, and you're going to help out your metabolism so you can burn more. So I'm going to leave you with that. There you have it, you guys. I tried to do that as fast as possible. I'm curious. I don't know how long I've been going now, but you want to find a program that has room for flexibility, that prioritizes your long-term health over immediate aesthetics and instant gratification. I know that's what we all want, but try to prioritize your long-term health and results. You want to find a program that takes you through phases, like we talked about, so that you can actually optimize your results and your hormone health. And you want to find a program that is individualized to you. Each one of us is unique, and what's going to work for one person may not work for another. So I would just encourage you, stop wasting your time, your money, your metabolism on cookie cutter programs or meal plans that don't have your long-term health in mind. And I say, even don't waste your metabolism, because every time you do a diet that you lose weight and then regain it back, or you fail a diet, your metabolism takes a hit. And so then you're going to have to rebuild that. That's why we start with phase one, metabolism repair, because most of the women that we work with have somehow hurt their metabolism in one way or another. And we can't throw someone straight into a fat loss phase or dieting phase until their metabolism is healthy again. And the other thing too, I would encourage you with, stop wasting your time and money. If you're someone who is interested in investing in a coach or training, whether that's my program or someone else's program, you might think oh, I don't have that money to invest in myself. But you've probably, over the years, just think about what you spent the last 10 years, the last 20 years, the last 30 years on all the products, all the waist trainers, the keto bars, and, the fuelings or the weight loss drugs or pills, the different Weight Watchers programs that you've done, all the shakes and supplements. Oh my gosh, we've probably wasted so many thousands of dollars over the years on these more quick fixes, versus looking at okay, what can I do that might take me longer? It might not be as instant gratification or as instant results, but that will actually build the habits and the identity and the lifestyle that I need to get results that I can maintain long-term. So if you want to learn more about the Fit You programs, you can DM me on social media or apply for one-on-one coaching. What we'll do is we'll set up a time to chat with you more about your dieting history and your goals. Basically, we want to get to know you better. We want to get to know a little bit more about you, and then just determine if one of our programs might actually be a good fit for you. My social media handles and the link to apply for coaching are both in the show notes, so you can go check those out. And as always, I hope this helped you in some small way, and I'll catch you on the next episode.